Hey, it's Isaac. With school being closed for the rest of the year, and with many of you starting to work more from home, chances are that you're going to be using a computer of some sort for work or for play. The more that you use your machines, more dust will start to collect on the inside, and too much of that can cause issues like overheating, worse performance, and eventually they might even start to shut down randomly. So with that in mind, I recommend that you clean your machines at least once every 3 to 6 months, depending on how much use you have on them and how dusty your area tends to get. Let me show you how I clean my desktop at home. Now, before you start doing anything, you have to make sure that the power that's going to your computer is completely turned off. I have a little switch right here on my power supply that I can press to completely cut off power. And if you don't, you can just unplug the cable itself. I also don't want to be working underneath my desk for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and unplug everything else. Okay, we're on the floor now. So to do this, you can really use any kind of compressed air that you find at like electronic stores, but I decided to buy this little blower since I do this a lot pretty often whenever I work on people's PCs. Depending on what case you have, you might need to use something like a Phillips head screwdriver to get your computer open, but in my situation I have thumb screws that I can easily take off my side panels with. My case also lets me pop off the front panel. Depending on what you have, you may or may not be able to do this too. It looks like we have a little bit of buildup in the bottom filter for my power supply, so I guess I'll clean that one up too. While you're doing this, try your best not to touch any part of the motherboard, or let's say the back of the graphics card if you have one, anything that looks like it might have traces or solder points, or anything that's like electronic looking. On the other hand, you can safely touch things like the fans or the case edge, the shrouds of your graphics card or the end of the PCB. Power supply is safe. RAM is safe. I don't know why you'd want to touch that, but you can. Just really try not to touch the motherboard or anything like that. If you're using a can of compressed air, it's recommended that you blow in really quick bursts instead of long continuous ones. But since I'm going to be using my blower, I'm going to do just that instead. So the main areas you want to focus on are the heatsink for the CPU right here, the heatsink for your GPU if you happen to have a graphics card, and behind and in front of every fan that you have. Now, it's a safe practice if you hold every fan that you're about to blow before you blow into it so that it doesn't spin freely. I haven't really had any issues whenever I let the fan blade spin freely as I blow it, but it does generate electricity and that current could damage something on your motherboard or whatever else it's connected to. So I'm just going to hold it. Now for the graphics card. I'm going to take off this filter so I can get the fan. Now I'm going to blow out the main chamber using lower power on my blower so that I can try and get all that loose dust out of the way. I can also see some buildup in my front panel, so I'm going to go ahead and blow that out too. That's probably as good as it's going to get now, so I'm just going to get my panels back on, close it up, and then put it back to my desk. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and switch my power back on the power supply so I don't freak out when my computer doesn't turn on. I don't know why I'm doing this. I hope this helped. Keep following Studio 128 and Wilcox Theater and Arts for more content.